Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another vlog. Technically, this is my 11th video, but this is in the series that I've started. This is number 9, so we're coming up on number 10. I got to do something special. But today's topic is going to be, as you can tell by my t-shirt, if you can see, Batman. But specifically, we're going to talk about the Batman 1960 TV show and Adam West, because that played a huge part of my childhood. I've always been a huge fan of that. I was so happy when a couple of years ago they finally released everything on DVD and I was able to watch the entire series. So many positive memories, so much nostalgia involved in that. So, superheroes in general have played a big part in my life ever since I was a little kid. Batman is the first I remember, but Batman, the character of Batman is one of my favorite in all of superhero world. Spider-Man is another one. So I might do a separate video on that. Captain America is another one. I especially am going to do one video specific to one of my real heroes in life. It's Stan Lee. So we'll get to that. But figured let me start with Batman. Okay, so picture this: Sicily, 1922. No, just kidding. That's a Golden Girl reference. So some of you might not get that. But little kid growing up in New York, late 70s, early 80s. Come home from school, 4 o'clock, I want to say it was, WPIX Channel 11, bang, Batman is on. So, and then nighttime would be Star Trek, which is another love of mine that we'll get to in a future video. But so Batman would come on. I was not exposed previously to really, any superheroes other than a couple of comic books I had when I was really young. I didn't start getting into to comics and superheroes until a little bit older. Not like a little kid, but a little bit older. I think there was like the Super Friends cartoon or something that came around that time. There was they would show reruns of the Spider-Man 1960s animated cartoon. But like I said, Batman was where it really took off. My love of superheroes is that. So, you're a little kid. You don't really know. You don't really understand as a little child how cheesy and like tongue in cheek that they were making the character that they were making the show. Because if you go back to the early Batman comics, it's dark, it's serious. I mean, let's be honest, the guy's parents were murdered in front of him, and he turns into a vigilante seeking justice. That's not like a happy-go-lucky story. Well, anyway, Batman had been created. Let's see, what year was this? I don't even know. I've got this. Hang on, I got this big Batman frame thing. This is his first ever appearance back in DC Comics, whatever year it was. I should know this. Shame on me for not. I should, but we're gonna forget that part. Anyway, so Batman comes around. He becomes super popular. He's like as popular as Superman was in the day. Who Superman is the actual kind of granddaddy of superheroes. But then toward the World War II era, he started to kind of lose popularity. Well, they kind of reinvented the character a couple of times during the Silver Age or Golden Age. What I get that part confused. I'm not like super duper comic nerd that I know all this stuff. But by the '60s come around, they tried something different. So they hire Adam West, hamming it up like the way William Shatner is with Captain Kirk is kind of the way Adam West is to Batman. But to me, Adam West will always be Batman. I mean, he was just so suave and just so cheesy and just so like he over the top, but he freaking nails it. I mean, you cannot help but love this guy. The Batusi, the little dance thing he does, or the way he says Catwoman. Like just he was just Batman with a little beer belly. I mean, it was just so freaking funny, and the episodes were so like again, as a kid, I remember seeing a lot of them, but I didn't see. I only saw what they showed in syndication. It's not like they showed, episode one, then episode two, then episode three. They kind of rotated through all these shows and whatnot. And I mean, if you look back on the Batman show, okay, yeah, Adam West, Burt Ward, Alan Napier, I can't remember the other guy, Chief O'Hara, Commissioner Gordon, Later, they had Yvonne Craig, who was a famous dancer, that she became Batgirl. She was great in it. But look at the guest stars that they had in this show. Cesar Romero playing the Joker, Frank Gorshin playing the Riddler. What's his face? God, I'm drawing a blank. The guy, the Penguin, the one who was in Twilight Zone. Burgess Meredith. Lee Merriweather, Eartha Kitt. Just amazing, amazing. Vincent Price, Egghead, the guy that played King Tut. I can't. All these like famous actors. Sammy Davis Jr. was even in the Batman show. I mean, just all these famous people. It was like the cool hip thing to be in the show. Even if they weren't a villain, they were like a side character. Like it was just the happening thing back in the '60s. And you could just tell everybody was just loving it. I mean, it was so cheesy. And I look back on it now, like, okay, like I said, a couple of years ago, they finally legally, released the DVD set of the whole series. Before, you could kind of get like bootlegs at conventions and things like that, but the quality was crap. So loved it since I was a kid. So I was so waiting for this to come out. Finally, it comes out, like bang! As soon as I saw it, pre-ordered it. And I sat down and I binged it in maybe like a month to whatever. Watched the entire series. But I mean, including the Batman 1966 movie, which I want to say was in between season 2 and season 3. That had been out for many, many years on DVD, so I had that because fond memories of watching that as a kid as well. That was just kind of like took what the TV show did and blew it up into like a theater movie or a TV movie or whatever. But I'm watching like the first few episodes, and like one of them is like the Joker. Think of the Joker nowadays. Who do you picture? I picture Heath Ledger or God, who else has played the Joker? Mark Hamill as the voice in the animated series. But Cesar Romero was just like again. Heath Ledger was the best Joker, but you can't discount what Cesar Romero did. Like, he refused to shave his mustache, so they just, put white makeup over his mustache. He looked so corny, but just his laugh, he was just having such a good time with it. And I think it was like the third episode. So here's the big, evil, mean Joker, the anarchist, the crazy man, and his plot is to, like, steal the answers to a high school math test or something and, like, blackmail people. I mean, it's like, you can't beat the cheese factor. But oh my God, it was just like when I was a little kid, I was like in amazement watching this. I was like, this is freaking hysterical. This is awesome. And now looking back on it, I see, yeah. And then once you get to the third season, when the budget was like a third of what it had been in the first 2 seasons, you can see the quality kind of really drop off there. But I mean, just the banter back and forth between Batman and Robin, the banter back and forth between Batman and Catwoman, the sexual tension that was going on there, like they're trying to keep it innocent, but it really wasn't. Like I said, just the rogues gallery. Frank Gorshin was amazing as the Riddler. Burgess Meredith, don't like him personally. We'll get to that another time, but like an amazing actor. He was great in this as Penguin. He was awesome in so many episodes of the Twilight Zone. Of course, he's Rocky. You're gonna crap thunder and eat lightning, or whatever the heck it was. I should know this, but Cesar Romero, like I said, Eartha Kitt as the famous singer, as Catwoman, along with Lee Merriweather, which I think was in the movie, and then Julie Newmar. Julie Newmar was in the TV show, and followed by Eartha Kitt, and then Lee Merriweather for her one time in the movie. But just the Bat Boat, everything labeled. I mean, like little sticky notes on every freaking thing to tell you where it is. Just I never saw the Superman TV show. My mom watched that a lot when she was younger. She's told me it's been really good. The one with George Reeves. I've never seen it. I mean, I've seen it on. I've never sat down and watched an episode. I've been told that was more serious than this was. But I don't know. But I just love the Batman TV show. I mean, it's so campy, so 60s, so loving it. They had the crossover with the Green, not the Green Arrow, not the Green Lantern, the Green Hornet. The Green Hornet, that Bruce Lee was in that show. I think it only lasted like one season. But that was a cool little crossover they had. They had the Batgirl. She came in toward the end of the series. She was really good. I think they tried to spin her off in her own pilot, because I've seen like a thing on YouTube which was like a pilot episode, but I guess it never took off. Um, the one thing about the show, I have to say, is because in this day and age, we're in 2020. Things are very different, and you have to look at things in a historical perspective. Much like Star Trek, there was a lot of sexism going on. All the girls had like the short, skimpy outfits, and damsel in distress stuff going on. But if you discount that, if you don't get highly offended by everything under the sun like some people do, you just kind of look at it and laugh. I'm not saying, let me correct myself. I'm not saying that you should laugh at that in the context of the show, is what I'm saying, okay? I'm not saying I condone any of that stuff. I'm just saying in the context of the show, like, it's funny. I mean, it's just, there's an episode where Batman is like having to, beside the whole Batusi dance when he gets drunk or he gets drugged or whatever, there's one where he's like surfboarding in the Batman outfit, but he's got like shorts over the. I mean, just crazy stuff like that. I don't know if he was trying to rescue some girl that was taken hostage, whatever. I mean, just so many campy things. And then who can forget Biff, bam, wow, oof. Like all the little pop up sound effects that would come up when they're beating the crap out of anybody. Because Batman has his no kill code, which for the most part he's always stuck to. In the series, of course, he always stuck to it. But just you gotta love these little cheesy fist fights. You knew every episode there was gonna be the big fist fight. Batman and Robin are gonna kick the crap out of some bad guys, and they're gonna get captured. The bad guys are gonna kind of get one over on them. Then at the end, they're gonna get out of there. But just awesome. Like you can't watch it and not smile. It's just that cheesy, that good. Kind of like the original Star Trek. The bigger ensemble cast in Star Trek. More coverage for different characters, whereas this was more like Batman, Robin, Enemy of the Week, Commissioner Gordon, Chief O'Hara, Alfred, and then the Ant was in there or something. That was whatever. She's kind of like a minor character, and there's all these other little minor characters like the no name goons that work for all the gangs and whatnot. But I mean, just such an amazing show. Like, again, I talk about this a lot in my other videos. Not the easiest childhood, so anything that was a distraction from that is always very near and dear to my heart. And like I said, WPIX in New York, it was always on, seeming like 3-4 episodes a day. Sometimes it might have been on before I went to school. I mean, I just have so many memories. My grandmother would turn on the TV, make me something to eat. She's like, okay, watch it, then you do your homework or whatnot. Or, like I say, it could possibly have been on in the morning too. I really don't remember. I just remember as a kid going down to the basement with my grandfather, watching Batman. So, well, he didn't watch it so much, and it wasn't like the baseball games that I talk about in my baseball video, where him and I were watching the games and talking about that. But he'd be around, but I would be in his room downstairs just watching Batman. I just loved it. I love the old Batmobile. I love the sets. I love how they did this thing where whenever the bad guy would be on screen, they'd put the camera kind of sideways so that you knew they were crooked, like smart. And then just like I said, Adam West. Again, you'll if you've watched my other videos, if you've read any of my stuff, I'm not a fan of 99% of the people in Hollywood. I'm not a celebrity, National Enquirer, paparazzi person. I really don't care. My heroes are, military, police officers, firefighters, EMTs, doctors, nurses, farmers, people that really make a difference in our life every day. My heroes are not Hollywood people who live in fantasy land, most athletes. We'll get into that, because I don't want to kind of go down a political / ideological thing. I do everything I can to avoid that, but I just say that because, generally speaking, I don't appreciate the artist. I appreciate the work. Okay, so I don't know much about Adam West's real life. I just know, to me, that will always be Batman. I see Adam West, that's Batman. It's like, other people that have played Batman. Michael Keaton played a decent Batman. Personally, I liked Val Kilmer in the movie he was in. A lot of people don't. I hated George Clooney as Batman. Christian Bale, he was okay. We'll see how Twinkles, whatever his friggin' name is, does in the Batman movie that's coming up here in a couple of months. I mean, it looked pretty good from the trailer. Wasn't a big fan of Ben Affleck as Batman, but like I said, I will always, from now until the day I die, associate Adam West is Batman to me. Like, and I know it's the cheesy, corny, joke that almost kind of destroyed the Batman legacy, because after that they had when Batman comics kind of had a resurgence, they had to kind of take him away from that and bring him back to his darker roots, and of course Batman today is one of the most popular superheroes of all time. And I like all the versions. I mean, there's maybe later I might talk about comics. I mean, I planned on talking about comics in some video, in some capacity. But there's been other versions of Batman that I really liked. I'll quickly go into that because I'm really trying to focus on the show. But just to kind of give you some perspective, there's a Superman story that is awesome, written in either the late 80s, early 90s, called Superman Red Sun, where it's like, well, what happens if he would have landed 24 hours differently, that he would have landed in Russia instead of America, and he becomes like kind of like a super communist, and it's this whole alternate take on it, and there's a Batman character in there that's very dark and good. There's another thing that they did maybe about 10 years ago. Didn't prove to be very popular, extremely controversial, tongue twisted, sorry. I actually enjoyed it, but it was called All Star Batman, where he's just like a menacing, psychotic, not a good person. Like he beats the crap out of Robin. He he'll kill people. He'll abuse women. Like, again, not saying I condone that action. I'm just saying that take on the character, since it was something different and fresh, whereas most people were really hated and reviled by it. I was like, it's interesting. Again, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. One final thing, and then we'll get back to the Batman TV show. I'm trying to think of the other ones. Yeah, I mean, like the movies, you got different takes on it. Like the first two Batman movies, in '89, with Michael Keaton, comical but a little more serious. Once you get to the third movie with Val Kilmer, that's when it was sort of similar to the 1966 series, kind of in the spirit of it, a little more cheesy. And then forget it when you get to the George Clooney one, which let's not even talk about that. So but then Batman 66 kind of Batman 66 is another thing it's referred to, kind of died down after that. And we went back to the Batman you see today with like the Christian Bale, the darker, brooding, whatever. But right before Adam West passed away, they started making these animated movies, and they made two of them. It was like the Return of the Cape Crusader, where he comes back with Burt Ward to voice Batman and Robin. Love those movies. There was actually a comic book series, a limited series they created that was called Batman 66, and it kind of picked up and ran with that cheesiness for a little while. I don't think it goes on anymore. Just again, great stuff, great memories of a difficult time in my life. I had that to watch. Just like I said earlier, I think I said this earlier, or I've said it in other videos. Anything that was there in my life at that time to kind of make me laugh, to take my mind off of the situation I was in, it's deeply personal to me. So like, I'll always kind of love this version of Batman, and the corniness and just the laughs I got. And, looking back on it now, how cheesy it is, but you it's kind of like I talked about in my wrestling video. It's so bad that it's like you love it. You know what I mean? Like you can't help but love it. Just again, There was one other thing I wanted to talk about. And I'm drawing a brain fart here. If it comes to me, great. If it doesn't, But again, well, different point. But one time, a couple of years ago, my wife and I, when we were living in New Orleans, we were driving to Florida to see one of my best friends in the whole world, best friend from the army, uh, and it was about a 9 hour drive. We were kind of tired, whatever, and she was driving, and I'm in the passenger seat. And I really don't sleep in the car. She says I do, but I really don't. And I look up at a billboard, and it's like for the Tallahassee antique slash auto museum, and it says 3 Batmobiles. And I was like, I looked at her, she looked at me. It's like, yeah, we're stopping. The hell with it. He can wait another 20 minutes. And they had the Batmobile, or one of the hundreds, because God only knows how many they made, but they had an actual surviving Batmobile from the show, parts of the Batcave, costumes, and of course, you're not supposed to touch anything, but we were like the only ones there that day. I reached over the rail, and it's like I touched the Batmobile. Like I touched something that Adam West and Burt Ward sat in. And I mean, it was like an emotion. As silly as it sounds, it's like that's an emotional thing for me. It's like that's a connection to one of my childhood heroes. And I mean, it was so cool. They also had the Batmobile from like the '89 movie, from like the Val Kilmer movie. A bunch of Batman stuff there. I'm not a big car guy, but the museum itself was really really cool. So if you're ever on that highway stretch there, and you just take an hour out of your day, check it out. It's not just cars, not just Batman stuff. It's like all kinds of stuff. Like it's focused on cars, but there's tons of other stuff at this place. So I highly recommend you check it out. I think it's called the Tallahassee Auto Museum. Really cool. All right, so let me wrap it up, because for the life of me, I can't remember what that other point was I was going to make about Batman. But just like I said, I wanted to, I'm doing a limited series in terms of superhero and comics. Like, unlike some of my other videos some of them are one off, some of them are like an ongoing thing, some of them are a limited series. So the comic book superhero genre is something that's more or less going to be a limited series. Although there's going to be one video, dedicated strictly to Stan Lee. But wanted to share my love of the Batman TV show. Um, my admiration for Adam West and Burt Ward, two of my childhood heroes, and just how much it meant to be. It meant to be. It meant to me as a kid. I wish I could have met them. Well, Burt Ward's still around. That's what it was. Okay, that's what I'm going to close out the video with. They made a movie maybe 15, 20 years ago called Return to the Batcave, and it had Adam West, Burt Ward, Frank Gorshin, and not Lee Merriweather, what's her face that played Catwoman, Julie Newmar, and it was kind of like tongue-in-cheek style, the way that the TV series is. Like somebody steals the Batmobile and they have to track it down, and they come across Julie Newmar's Catwoman, and I think it was like Frank Gorshin, the Riddler, that ended up stealing it. I can't even remember the story, but it was just so cheesy. But I ate it up. I loved it. So if you've never seen an episode of the old Batman TV show, just check one out. Just take an hour out of the day and just sit there and watch it, and just try to watch it with an open mind. You should have a blast. So thank you guys for joining me again. Please, if you do enjoy my videos, hit the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know you like it. Comment. I always enjoy the feedback. I'm new to this thing. Obviously, these are not professional videos. This is just raw, unedited thoughts coming out of my mind. But I'm enjoying it. I really didn't think I would like these vlog things, but I am enjoying it. So I hope you guys are enjoying it, and I will see you in the next video.